Yeah? It's on. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, participants online. Thank you for attending this last day. So after this week and the past few days, which focused on the access to finance, to the buildings and to the appliances, this morning's session will be focusing on monitoring and evaluation techniques that our expert we're going to present you, followed by an afternoon session during which we wish to present the main key messages that all the experts who attended this event shared with us, that we want to compile in a letter of intent in the pathway to the COP27 that is coming this year in Egypt again. So thank you again, and I'll let the floor to the experts of this morning's session to present you the indicators and the techniques to implement national energy efficiency action plans. So Alessandro will further describe the content of the activity, and then Didier Bosboeuf will moderate a session on specific indicators of energy efficiency and how to implement NEPs in the MED region. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Thanks a lot again for being here. It's a pleasure for me. Just a quick overview, and already you may know the core of the activities of our work package 2. So here the meetMED week is the core of the second year of activity after a first phase of engagement, and indeed we have to engage more and more experts in our activities to make the networks of experts exponentially grow for the next years of the activity. And so we have 3 parallel lines of activity together with a view on the financing issue for appliances and building sector. Indeed, today is the 4th day, and it is a sort of closing of a circle. We started with the financing, how to finance the projects, how to accelerate the rate of renovation, and the need for financing tools to implement energy efficiency actions. Then this day 2 and day 3, we went more in depth about specific technical issues for both buildings and appliances. And then today we are closing to how to monitor. We have to know how to monitor activities, how to assess the impacts of the implemented actions, and how to embody them in strategic and forward-looking documents such as a National Energy Efficiency Action Plan. And indeed, this is the division of our tasks in the work package. Indeed, task 1 is about the engagement and the dissemination with initiatives such as this of the meetMED week. Task 2 and task 3 are about appliances and buildings. The 2 was about buildings. Yesterday we had an in-depth focus on appliances, and today, last but not the least, about monitoring. Here you can see technical working groups. These are the issues we discussed that we are going to further discuss thanks to all the inputs we received so far during these 3 days. And now it's a real pleasure for me to leave the floor to the task leader about monitoring and evaluation, Didier. I don't know if he's already ready online. He works as a scientific advisor at ADEME, the French national agency, at the Research and Perspective Direction. He has more than 40 years of experience on energy demand analysis and energy policy evaluation. I can see that for the EU is the father of the monitoring system. Indeed, currently implements energy efficiency monitoring system in more than 70 countries, so not only in Europe, but through bilateral and multilateral projects, not only with the European Commission, but also with the IEA and UN. So please, Didier, the floor is yours, and please go ahead with this very important session. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose that you can hear me. It's a great pleasure to present our status of implementation of this activity on the Energy Efficiency Observatory at a regional level. And we will speak about the status of implementation. This activity is co-chaired with between ADEME and RECRE, and my colleague Sam, which is in the room, is also helping me in managing this activity. Next one. We have 6 work packages in that task. Sorry, next one, please. This is more general. And I will present rapidly what is the context.
Didier.
Yes.
Didier, we do not see your presentation. You have to share your screen. I think
it's done. You can see on the screen.
No, we do not see your presentation. Yes, now. Okay.
It's okay. Sorry about that. First of all, I would like to recall you why it's important that each country or region has to implement an energy efficiency monitoring system. And I have produced this flower, which presents 10 multi-benefit of having energy efficiency indicators and in more general, a monitoring system. First of all, and it's quite obvious, this system allows to track target. And in all energy efficiency law, all the countries have developed different type of target, like energy intensity, energy saving. And this type of database and system allow to target that. In more general views, we don't collect data for the beauty, we collect data for evaluating the impact of policies, energy efficiency policies. We are interested to understand the past trend. Do we deliver energy efficiency? Do the crisis has an impact on efficiency? What are the sectors which deliver more efficiency? This data collection is also important for utilities or energy or equipment manufacturers or government, because it provides the most detailed market insight available in the country. We can also compare our energy performance, since we have a harmonized system of monitoring. We can have some benchmarking. And more technically, this type of database allows us to keep or to organize the data which are needed for such type of evaluation. We have around 1,000 data with activity and energy data, and we have to organize that in one unique place. And it's also important to keep memory of all this data collection for the future. These databases also are similar to those which are using for modeling. And this is one of the questions asked by our respondent of the survey, to organize surveys to fulfill the modeling. And of course, this type of system allows to disseminate the result. So you see, there are good reasons why we have to develop such type of system. Next one. And the overall objective of this activity is to implement such system, both at national level, and I insist on that. There are some countries around the table we don't have such type of system. It will be the first time they will have such kind of tool. We also can have organized a regional common energy observatory on energy efficiency indicators, in particular with a focus on building and electrical appliance. And my colleague Osam will present some proposals. We also make this data collection to monitor or to follow up the NEP implementation, which are useful for strategic implementation. And for that, we have divided our global activity in 4 groups. One on energy efficiency indicator implementation, more or less the development and the updating of energy efficiency database. The second group on energy demand modeling and prospective tool. Third one on national energy efficiency action plan and national strategy. And the group 4, it's also again a group on energy efficiency indicator, but more focused on detailed analysis for building and appliances. Next one. So we can see here how it works. I will not go in detail for each of the activity. I will just go in detail for activity 1, which is certainly the core of our work in terms of time and involvement of the partners. So we have to design the template, and we will have a presentation on that. It's done by the Enerdata, and it's template which is the same for all countries and which is customized to our need of the SMEC countries. To allow the partners to develop such to update and or to fill up this data collection, we will have training first for newcomers, because we don't start from scratch for these activities. As you may know, from 2013 to 2018, we have a first phase with 4 countries, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, and Lebanon, where we have already implemented such type of system. So we know how it works, it's workable, and now we extend this data collection to 3 newcomers, namely Jordan, Egypt, and Palestine, and then I thank them for participating to our common effort. Then we have training gathering all the partners, because the idea is to have exchange of information and good practice on surveys, on data collection, etc. And in fact, one of our goals is to create a network of experts on energy efficiency indicators among the SMEC region. We will have, after this training, a first data collection in 2022, some quality check and control by the technical coordination. We will have some on-job assistance for countries which are interested through a virtual meeting or on field. And then we will have the same updating in the year 2003 and 4. For the activity 2 and 3 on modeling and NEP, this is in the same nature. It will be namely 3 workshops, 1 per year, virtual, 1-day workshop, when we gather all the stakeholders which are interested by the question, and we will discuss on good practice on modeling and on NEP. So the first activity will be mainly managed by my friend Bruno Lapillon, that many of you know, and the second activity on NEP will be managed by Sam from RECRE on the NEP. And activity 4, it's in the same nature of activity 1 on data collection, but it will be more focused on detailed information on appliances and buildings. Next one. Next one, we have, of course, distribution activities and management. And what is the main feature and governance of that project? First, it's co-sharing between ADEME and RECRE about technical coordination, about ideas, organization of session and workshop. We have, for the moment, 7 countries. And one question was Libya. So in principle, we are able to address Libya, but we will see if they are interested or not. This project will have 30-month duration, and we need national task force because this project cannot work without experts from each of the 7 countries. And this national task force, of course, is organized up to the focal point of each country. But what we suggest is to have data providers like National Statistical Office or utilities or ministries, technical association, universities, or stakeholders which can help the agencies to gather information needed for this data collection. And this expert will participate to the data collection, to the training, to perform the data collection, and at the end of the project to disseminate the results in general and in some more dedicated work package. Next one. So again, the core of this, of the good achievement of this task is based on the participation of national teams. So what are the country expectations and what is value added for each country? First of all, each country will develop and manage a national monitoring system, and I insist on that. You are not working, you are working for medeNER, but you are also working, first of all, for your country in order to develop a national monitoring system. And we hope that all the methodologies that we'll propose will be helpful for you, even if you have already such system, especially for the former participant of the phase 1 of meetMED. You will benefit of international comparison because we will provide harmonized and adjusted indicators which take into account national circumstances. And this is interesting to compare maybe performance in the cement industry, in building, etc. It's also important to exchange information on good practice on data collection, for example, how surveys are made in the STEG XT utility in Tunisia, which have a very good survey on household, how we can benefit from that type of practices, both on modeling, on NIP, etc. So this is also an exchange on information and practice among participants. Next one. We are working for activity 2.4, but we will share our input. We will be useful for some of the other work package, like work package 3 and 4. And I have already presented that activity in previous meetings organized in work package 3 and 4. And the idea is to provide technical input for report on strategic recommendation. We also will be useful for the meetMED REN. We will be useful for the UFM REE platform on modeling and with OME through our exchange on information on modeling. And we will maybe part of the energy building barometer of work package 3. So we see we are not working closely, we are working also as a data provider and the technical input for the other working group. Next one. So list of activity as mentioned already, that to the slide before, just to you will see in the presentation. Just one word that I didn't mention, so that is important. We will have several training sessions on field. The next one will be in Jordan. And we will have 2 updates. One at the beginning of the project in order to have the most updated data to share. And we will have a second update. Next one. Next one. All these data provider will be checked by automatic control system, including in the data template, and also by our own knowledge. And we will review and give a report to all the national teams on their data gaps and some way to fulfill or to increase the data coverage in the country. So what are the expected results at the end of the project? First, we will have 7 national databases on energy demand and energy efficiency indicators. In fact, when you are developing an energy efficiency database, you collect a lot of detailed end-use data. This is why I call it also energy demand database, with a focus on building and electrical appliances. All these national database will be, which are harmonized, both in terms of data collection and type of definition of indicators, will be gathered in a regional database and a data mapper on energy efficiency indicator. So everybody will have access to a sort of cross-country comparison on energy efficiency performance. We will have a set of national reports because we are not here only to collect data. I may say this is a boring part of the exercise. We are policy analysts, and we will make a national report on recent energy efficiency trend, both at national and regional level. And this is, of course, a strategic document which will be helpful for modeling, those which are modeling and those which are developing a strategy on energy efficiency. We will have 3 workshops on planning and NIPS, 1 per year. And based on all this material, we will make synthesis report and recommendation. And we hope that all this material will be displayed and disseminated in national seminar and, of course, during the energy efficiency. Next one. So we will have a lot of material to deliver. And we have already started that activity. The term of reference has been distributed to all partners more or less 1 year ago. And this program has been presented also to the other work package group leader, and during some session, mainly in autumn 2021. The most important thing is we have developed and customized a data collection template. And this is a core of our activity in 2021. We have a sort of kickoff meeting, but in more general, a stakeholder consultation workshop, gathering 30 participants to explain what we want to do and to motivate not only the agencies to participate, but also all the other stakeholders, other users of the database and data providers. We have done 2 surveys among the partners to select topics for activity on planning and NIPS. And we have done 2 short training for Egypt, Jordan, and Palestine, what I call the newcomers, during this winter. And we have sent this template to the newcomers. And of course, we are participating to this energy efficiency week. Next one. For the work plan in 2020, we will have on-field virtual training for energy efficiency data collection in May in Jordan. I thank Jordan to have to host that meeting. We will have also the first virtual workshop on planning and NIP in May. We will have the first data collection starting in June for all partners. And based on that, we will provide as a technical coordination a report on data gaps to improve the data collection, and then a report to the second energy efficiency. Next one, I think it will be all, so you can contact us. Next one. Okay, so this is where we are in terms of status of implementation. And if Alessandro allow me, we can maybe start the second session.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So now I take my cap of moderator, and it's a pleasure to invite some of our participants to present the status of implementation and some reaction. And it will be in three main parts. First of all, what we have done in terms of energy efficiency template and energy efficiency indicators. So we will have two main speakers. The first one, it's not Florent Gauthier, but her colleague, Laura Sudries. We will have also have Osam, which will present the specific work on a detailed indicator for buildings. And if they are online or in the room, we can have some feedback from the participant of the two first meetings, trainings that we have done in these three countries. The second part will be dedicated to the activities on planning. I don't like too much planning. I will may say more modeling. This is the official name in the project, but we will more discuss on modeling activities. And we have the pleasure and the advantage and the honor to have Bruno Lapillon, which will present the survey results and the selection of topics for the next workshop. And we will have the presentation of from Apru, from Algeria, about the status of national practice on modeling. And I sent our colleagues Tahar, which will present that. The last part will be in the same way, exchange on functional practices on national energy efficiency plan. It will be managed by our friend Osam, which present the output, that's what we have done already, with two presentation, national presentation from Mr. Tawalbe and Mobayen from Jordan and Palestine. So here is the agenda. And so we will start, we'll give the floor to Laura Sudries for the first presentation. Just to introduce her before she ends the presentation. So Laura, you can stop the presentation and introduce your presentation. Okay, and so Laura is a senior expert at Enerdata, which is a very known consultant firm in our field. She's developing and managing different databases on energy efficiency, in particular the ODCEMUR database for European country. She developed the same thing for currently in India and so on. And she belongs to the energy efficiency division of Enerdata. She's an engineer. And I give the floor to Laura, which present the data collection template for energy efficiency indicator. So Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Didier. Good morning, everyone. And thanks, Didier, for the introduction. So yes, I will present you the data collection process on energy efficiency indicators in the framework of the meetMED project. So what is the objective of the data collection? Is to produce energy efficiency indicators, around 100 indicators, in an harmonized way between all countries of the region, and these to monitor energy efficiency policies. So the data collection process is based on the previous project meetMED, where we develop a template. What is a template? Is basically an Excel document. And for this new phase of the project, of the meetMED project, we improve the template to improve some data coverage and the data content. So the template covers all end-use sectors, namely industrial sector, transport, household services, and also the power sector. So the data collection concerns 50% activity data, so population, economic data, stock of vehicles, etc., and 50% energy data from macro level, but also from detail level by end use, by branch, etc. And the data are collected from 2000 to 2020 or 21, depending on the country and on the availability. And what is the process? So the process is given here in this chart. First, national teams collect the data. So the data collection is made on a decentralized way. And they enter the data in the template. Then we check the consistency of the data and the variation of the data. And when the data are validated by the technical correlation, so namely ADEME and Enerdata, then we calculate energy efficiency indicators through automatic calculation, and we display the graph on the energy efficiency indicators. Once the data and indicators are validated, then we are able to produce the analysis of energy efficiency trends and to produce the reporting. So how is organized the template, so the Excel document? The document contains 4 types of tab identified with different colors. We have first four yellow tabs giving some instruction on how to use the template. So there is an introduction sheet, a sheet explaining the units, the definitions of data and indicators, and some general information. Then the most important sheets are the 7 dark blue sheets, where the national teams will enter the data. So for the macro sector and all end-use sector. And then we have some red sheets, 7 red sheets, for the calculation of advanced indicators, namely what we call MEDEX, which is the energy efficiency index, and the decomposition. And at the end, we have 2 orange tabs where we display the indicators through charts of MEDEX and decomposition. So each sectoral tab, so industry, transport, services, etc., are organized in the same way. First, we have 4 parts. The first part is dedicated to the data collection, the raw data that are collected by national teams from official statistics. Then the second part is dedicated to consistency calculations. For example, to check whether the sum of subsectors or branches or uses is consistent with the total, for example, for consumption. And in this part, we also have some calculation on the variation of the most important series over the last 5 years to check whether there is disruption in data. Then the third part is dedicated to the calculation of indicators. And at the end, you will find graph to visualize the trends on indicators. So this is an example of sectoral sheet for an empty template, and each sectoral is organized in the same way. So on the left part, we have the code series. We give a code for each data series to identify it. Then you have a title in French and in English. Then you have the country code, the unit. We have a specified predefined units, but countries can change if a unit is not relevant for the country. Then you have the data from 2000, 2020, 21. And then we have some important columns on the source and on some comments on the data. For example, if there is a disruption on the data, then the national team will indicate here that for this year, there have been a methodological change in the data series explaining why there is a disruption, etc. But also, it's really important to well document the data with the source and all the references to identify the source. So here I give an example of the transport sector, of the data and indicators that are collected and calculated. So for transport sector, we collect data, activity data, such as the stocks of vehicles, the sales of vehicle by type, for cars, for trucks, for buses, etc. Also the average annual distance traveled by vehicle type. We collect also data, if available, on passenger and freight traffic. And then we have some data on the consumption of transport sector by mode. So for rail, road, waterways, etc. And for road, if available, we can collect data on consumption of road transport by vehicle type. And at the end, we have some rows dedicated to specific consumption of vehicles in liter per 100 kilometers. So with all this data, we are able to calculate indicators in the right part, which are the energy intensity by mode, the unit consumption by mode, for example, the unit consumption of rail traffic by passenger kilometer, and also the share of public rail and waterway transport in the total transport in terms of traffic. So to conclude this presentation, I will give you here some example of advanced indicators that are calculated through the templates. We have what we call MEDEX, which is the energy efficiency index. So this indicator is able to produce the analysis of energy efficiency at sectoral level. So for example, for industry. And why we calculate this indicator? Actually, we calculate the energy efficiency progress by branch, so at very detailed level, and then we calculate an overall indicator for the sector in order to assess what is how is progressing energy efficiency at the sector. And also we provide an analysis on the decomposition of variation of consumption. Again, using the MEDEX, but also methodology to assess each factor which influence the consumption variation. So thank you for your attention, and I will leave the floor to Didier to continue this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Could you show the template just 1 second to show that we have something? It's difficult for you. Yes. Could you put your micro?
Yes, we are here. Go, Didier.
Yes. Laura, could you mute, please? I don't know if the organizer can give the muting to Laura.
Yes, I will continue from the presentation from my side here, Didier.
Okay, so just you can see on the screen, and Laura can develop a little, show a little bit. You can see that this table is has been already implemented, and this is the case of Algeria, so it's workable. And we gather around 1,000 data producing 100 indicators. So of course, not all countries will be able to do that, but we will see how it works. So now I let the floor to Osam, which will present some new input about the detailed data collection for buildings and appliances. So Osam, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Didier. Thank you all. Good morning, everyone. Within this activity, we have, as Didier mentioned in the beginning, we have 4 technical work groups. This is, I will present the the 4th technical work group about indicators, new indicators in building and appliances. The involved countries in the questionnaire or the template. Here's Algeria. This is in meetMED 1. Algeria, Lebanon, Morocco, and Tunisia is achieved or filled the questionnaire, and they are responsible, or we are request from these countries to update data from 2018 till 2022. And the next newcomers of this activity is Egypt, Jordan, Palestine. We are requested from the Egypt and Jordan, Palestine to update these data starting from 2000 till 2022. We organized a training course about filling the template with Egypt and Jordan and Palestine for newcomers. We name it newcomers. About the new indicators that should be involved in the questionnaire. Here is the also related, this is the indicators and data related to household sector. We will add more appliances in electrical appliances equipment. In the last template, or last meetMED 1, we have 7 equipment: refrigerator and washing machine, TV, microwave, electric water heater, and AC. The new indicator should be as the following. We will add new appliances for freezers, dishwashers, electric hot and water and cold water dispenser. And also we have added a label on freezer and label C in air conditioning, as you see in the next slide. This is the new indicators that should be also added to the questionnaire. Number of dwelling with freezer. These new three equipment are freezer, dishwasher, and electric hot and cold water dispenser. We will add the indicator about number of dwelling with freezers and also dishwashers and so on. Percentage of dwelling with freezer, percentage of household with at least one freezer, annual sales of freezers, and in the labeling side, we will add also just freezer for the label to categorize a percentage of a new freezer in label class A and class B, and specific consumption of freezer, and also, as I said, the dishwasher, and the same repeated. Finally, I need to highlight some important issues about within our analysis of the market in Egypt and some of our countries. We need to also to add label C to the air conditioning. The previous template was include just the label A and B. We will add also label C just to reflect the market, the existing appliances on ACs in the Arab countries, and to try to fulfill with all savings, let's say, and other indicators that could be reflect to the country and calculation of the saving in the country. This is from my side, and I will take floor to my colleagues here in the room, Mr. Muhaddin Al-Tawalbi, about just feedback about the template that was presented to the newcomers. Actually, the newcomers are Jordan, I said, Jordan and Palestine and Egypt. Unfortunately, Egypt is not cannot come today, but we will take the feedback from our participants. Please, Mr. Engineer Muhaddin.
Good morning. Thank you, Hussam. Regarding the template and the indicators, I think the macro level data, it will be easier to find the macro level data. But the problem and the complicated things is to have the sub-activity data or the activity data will go to the industrial sector and so on. It's complicated to have such data from these sectors and the activities data. Yani we should have data from the industrial sector, even by subsector also, yani for chemical sector, for industrial sector, for let's say food sector and chemical and textile, cement, and so on. And we'll go to the buildings also. We have the same also, the subsector data for hotels, hospitals, and even in the residential sector. So these need a deep surveys and to take a representative sample for this sector. I know this will be costly. It add some kind of cost, but we should have this accurate data about these activities. This is our main concern about filling out the needed information or data for these activities.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer Muhaddin. Mr. Engineer Muhammad Mubayyid, can you just interact about the template of activity on energy efficiency indicators template that was presented to you last period? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hussam, and good morning for everyone. I guess, and I do believe that this indicator will help to track the achievement of the energy development in our countries, in particular the indicators for energy efficiency. And also, I do believe that this indicator, it's a robust in structure, since it's been filled with other countries and it's been revised several times in other countries. For us, I guess the issue, it's not that the indicator itself as a tool, it's not helpful, but the issue for filling the information from different stakeholders, since we have a cross-cutting information from other key stakeholders. So we start to set up this connection to smooth the feeding data for that indicator. The last point is, which is for the transportation sector. I guess it's a challenging sector for our countries. So we hope so that by the training, we can overcome this issue and make it simple to fill this template in a good way to help monitoring and keep tracking the achievement of energy in our countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Muhammad. Didier, the floor is yours to
Thank
continue
you.
with the schedule of agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Osam. It was very interesting to have the feedback from our colleagues that I thanks and welcome. I hope it will be useful for you. And as I can see, you are in positive mood to work together. And I have noticed that you are interested by some comparison with other SMEC countries. And I think this is very important to notice that. We will go now directly to the second part of the session dedicated to the activity on modeling. And I will give the floor to Bruno Lapillon. About the presentation, I don't know if the organizer has the presentation or if Bruno has to share it. Before that, I will introduce Bruno. I say Bruno because it's more than a colleague, it's old friends from many years. So Bruno has a PhD and he was a professor in Grenoble University. He has 40 years on experience on energy demand, energy modeling, energy policy evaluation, and he worked really a lot at international level. It was father of the NIP model, of the METPRO model, and so we are very pleased to have his experience. And he will present the result of a survey that we launched 1 or 2 months ago to select the topic that will be discussed among partners during the next 3 workshops. So I let Bruno, the floor is yours.
Sorry, Didier. I think our staff here in the event told me that Bruno is not online. I
can see his face.
Please check with him if he's available.
He's online. I can see his face. You have to give him the mic.
Okay, he's here. Okay. So, thank you. Bruno, the floor is yours.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was muted and I had no possibility to switch it on. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First, I have to share my screen. Do you see my screen like this?
Yes. Could you enlarge it? Okay, super. Go ahead.
Okay. So within this activity, as Didier explained, it is planned to organize workshops on good practices on planning and prospective related to energy demand and efficiency. How do we plan, we forecast the energy demand, how we can assess the impact of energy efficiency measures. So what are the tools that are used? To better understand which topics could be covered during the 3 meetings, we organized a survey which included 10 questions. 5 of these questions were related to national practices on energy demand and energy efficiency forecasting. There were 3 to detail the context and the way the studies were organized, and 2 questions on the difficulties that the different countries are facing when dealing with energy demand forecasting or evaluation of efficiency. The survey was responded by 4 countries and organizations for the moment. We expect to have more answers later on. And what is the conclusion from the view of the participant about the national practices in energy demand modeling? Most respondents have already participated to a modeling exercise, and in general, the model used were a bottom-up model, that is to say, model that look at the demand at the detail level by end use in the household sector, by type of mode of transport, type of vehicle in transport, which correspond to a level similar to the level of detail that is included in the template for collecting the data and that was presented earlier. In some countries, they are still making projection with econometric models, which has the advantage to provide answer as to impact of prices on demand, but are more limited to see the impact of policy measures. And this, of course, would be elaborated during the workshops that are planned. Countries are used to have projection, including energy efficiency scenario, of course, because it is important to take into account future measure and the impact on demand. And one question was asking whether the energy efficiency scenario was based on concrete policy measures as a specific regulation being implemented or being strengthened at several dates in the future, and so on. And the situation was that in general, the countries are working like that. About there was a question asking to summarize the findings of some of the study. We only got one answer by Algeria, which is going to make a presentation later on, which was able to assess an energy saving reduction of 30% linked to an energy efficiency scenario. The next slide that is shown now show how we assess the impact of energy efficiency scenario or energy efficiency policy in the future. We start with a baseline scenario, which make a projection of demand by sectors. The different color correspond to sectors. And this baseline scenario corresponds to the current trend and taking into account the existing measures that have already been implemented. The efficiency scenario will recalculate the demand projection, taking into account new policy measures in the different sectors. And by comparing the difference by sector of the baseline projection with the projection of the energy efficiency scenario, we calculate what is shown in the box on the bottom, right bottom, the impact of the energy efficiency scenario. This represents the savings obtained in the energy efficiency scenario compared to the baseline scenario. This is a basic way to assess the impact of energy efficiency policies. There were two questions about whether the energy demand projection made in the countries were taking into account other models to complement the work on demand. First, using an energy supply model, which enabled to make projection of the production capacities linked to the energy demand. And by comparing a baseline and energy efficiency scenario, we can show how the supply is changing and how much investment in production capacities can be reduced. Only one country had been using an energy supply model linked to the demand model. And the use of macroeconomic model, which may be done because it enabled to measure the impact of the energy efficiency scenario on economic growth, unemployment, on energy prices, which is important now. This was not done in any of the country. One of the main reasons is that it makes the work more complex to use a macroeconomic model in terms of data collection, capacity to do it, and so on. And this is the reason why no country has been doing this in link to energy demand projection. About the organization of study, it was generally a collaborative process which involved various stakeholders, even if the work was done by the agency or by ministry. Other ministry, all the companies were involved in that work. The main difficulties, and this is linked to the first activity that was described, the countries complain that the lack of detailed data to work with a bottom-up model. With econometric model, it is easier because as the disaggregation is less advanced, less data is needed. But with bottom-up model, as we need data as shown in the template, there are some limitations, and this may imply a quite significant burden for the team who are doing the projection to collect this data, and thus it is time consuming. But if we take into account and remember the flowers that the Bosbuff showed at the beginning, there is a multiple benefit of the activities, and by collecting the data for the monitoring of energy efficiency indicators, the same data can be used to supply a bottom-up model. The last question was about whether they were satisfied with the demand modeling exercise that were done in the country, and for countries that answer, the answer was medium. Neither very well satisfied, neither badly satisfied. So the main expectation of the participant in this activity coming up from the surveys are the following. First, to better understand the difference between the model, how to choose the models, what are the steps necessary to carry out a forecasting exercise. The second main expectation was how to use the model for designing new policy or to update the current policy. And in that respect, capacity building is expected in that area. And the third one is linked to the data issues, how to prepare data for the model, what are the practice of other countries, and how this can be used to build the scenario. In conclusion, of course, this survey reflects only a part of the experience of the participating organization. First of all, additional experience exists in other ministries or in companies that may not be reflected from what was given in the survey. Some countries did not answer. For instance, Tunisia, which we know has a very good experience in the demand model and has been using a model like meetPro to assess the impact of the solar plan or to prepare their NDC or the updated NDC. So the lesson we draw from the survey and from the experience of countries is that the workshops that could be organized in the future, the 3 workshops, could be first to have a sort of capacity building to better explain the methodology used for forecasting and how to choose the model and how to implement the model. The second workshop could be on the construction of energy scenario, to better explain how to set up the scenario and how the result can be used for policy design. And the third topic could be to review the good practice in that field, either in terms of data collection for the modeling, in terms of communicating the result, or in terms of associating different organizations in that work. The last 3 slides, I will not show them because I think there is a lack of time, but they will be available, explain in more detail the content of each of the proposed workshop. I thank you for your attention. Didier, the floor is yours.
Hi, Didier.
Okay.
Are you with us?
Yeah, but it takes time. So, okay. So thank you, Bruno, for this excellent summary of the survey. And I think we get a lot of input, and now we know more or less what we will do for the next workshop. Fortunately, we have our colleague Tarm Essaoui from APRU, which presents current practice on modeling in Algeria. So Tar, it's Director of Communication, Training and Cooperation in April, and he will deliver a speech. So Tar, you have around 7 to 8 minutes. If you can focus your presentation on the modeling part, it will be nice. So first of all, thank you for having accepted to share your experience. We appreciate. And so I give the floor to you. Please share your presentation, and I hope that you will activate your microphone. So please, Tar. You can see your presentation. If you can enlarge it, it will be nice.
Bonjour à tous. Salam alaikum. Good morning, everybody. Donc, permettez-moi de parler, de faire ma présentation en français. Donc, en premier lieu, je voudrais d'abord passer un petit message de notre directeur général, M. Chaban, qui aurait souhaité être présent parmi vous aujourd'hui, mais malheureusement, il n'a pas eu à être présent. Donc, il vous passe un grand, ses respectueuses salutations et ses encouragements pour les travaux de meetMED. Donc, voilà, ma présentation va se baser un petit peu sur le système d'information et les études prospectives réalisées un petit peu en Algérie. Donc, avant toute chose, il faut faire un petit rappel sur le système d'information mis en place en Algérie afin qu'il puisse répondre aux besoins en information et surtout par rapport à l'interprétation. Alors, désolé, j'ai un retour de son, donc je n'arrive pas à…
Allez-y, on vous entend bien quand même.
Très bien, pardon. Voilà, parce que j'ai le son de la traduction, donc c'est pour ça que je m'excuse.
Mais on s'entend bien, on vous entend bien.
Parfait, donc je continue. Donc, pour un petit rappel par rapport à tout ce qui est justement ce système d'information, donc par rapport aux trois étapes, donc collecte des données, traitement des données et diffusion des données. Donc, tout se passe traditionnellement par un envoi de questionnaires, une exploitation des rapports et ensuite la publication par rapport aux organismes qui existent comme l'Office national des statistiques. Alors, je voulais faire un petit point par rapport à ça, c'est qu'avant 2020, tout était concentré par rapport au ministère de l'Énergie et toutes les agences qui travaillent et entreprises qui travaillent avec le ministère de l'Énergie, qui récoltent toutes ces informations et qui ensuite les transmettaient à la CRU pour justement établir des modélisations et des indicateurs d'efficacité énergétique. Depuis juin 2020 et la création du ministère de la Transition énergétique et des énergies renouvelables, ce travail se fait en collaboration entre les deux ministères, entre le ministère de l'Énergie des Mines et le ministère de la Transition énergétique et des énergies renouvelables, qui transmet ensuite à la CRU l'ensemble des informations.
Can you make the full screen for presentation?
Oui. Désolé, voilà. Donc, par la suite, il y a le traitement des données qui se fait justement entre les deux ministères, qui est la vérification et consolidation des données, donc le croisement des données, l'analyse des données et l'actualisation, bien sûr, de la base de données. Donc, en dernier lieu, il y aura bien sûr le processus de diffusion, de la version papier, version numérique, du bilan énergétique en Algérie. Donc, plusieurs outputs existent, donc des rapports, bien entendu, spécifiques pour la production de pétrole, pour l'OPEP, mais aussi des publications pour le grand public, large public, comme le bilan énergétique et le bilan de réalisation des secteurs.
Excuse me also.
L'APRU aussi, chaque 2 ans, publie justement son fascicule de consommation énergie finale avec des indicateurs d'efficacité énergétique. Donc, les défis justement à relever par rapport à ce système d'information, c'est qu'il se fait actuellement, c'est développer un logiciel de gestion de la banque de données. Donc, on a un nouvel système d'information qui a été mis en place. Élaborer un manuel sur les statistiques énergétiques, donc il faut savoir harmoniser les statistiques et surtout renforcer les synergies entre les secteurs, de le rôle qui sera joué justement par le ministère de la Transition énergétique, bien entendu en collaboration avec le ministère de l'Énergie. Donc les études prospectives, c'est-à-dire l'APRU, qui est un élément central du dispositif national maîtrise de l'énergie, donc a plusieurs missions. L'une d'elles, c'est d'établir des études prospectives sur la demande d'énergie finale. Et ce, afin d'évaluer à moyen, long terme essentiellement, le potentiel d'économie d'énergie, ainsi que les émissions de gaz à effet de serre évitées. Deuxième mission, c'est de tracer une stratégie corrective du mode de consommation. Et ce, pour respecter un petit peu les engagements internationaux de l'Algérie. Alors justement, il y a le projet national donc, sur le développement durable. Donc, il y a tout un modèle MAED de la demande d'énergie. Il y a aussi le modèle message pour l'offre d'énergie. Donc, plusieurs études prospectives ont déjà été réalisées. Donc, parmi elles, l'étude prospective du ministère de l'Énergie et des Mines donc, sur la demande nationale en énergie finale à l'horizon 2030, qui avait été réalisée en 2012. Et de par cette expérience donc acquise au fur et à mesure, actuellement, nous travaillons donc avec l'outil Enernéo, donc établi par le bureau d'études Enerdata, et avons lancé une étude prospective sur les scénarios de transition énergétique en Algérie à l'horizon 2050. Donc justement pour la demande, Enernéo permet surtout de fournir des projections de consommation avec vraiment un niveau de détail proche des modèles précédemment cités.
Excusez-moi, Tar, excusez-moi, je crois que vous n'avez pas. Ossam, vous voulez. Sorry, Ossam, have something to say about the presentation?
We need to just full screen for the presentation and scroll down in the next slide. I think we are freezing in the second slide.
Okay. Est-ce que vous pouvez mettre en mode diapositive? C'est déjà fait?
C'est déjà fait, oui.
D'accord. Continuez, je n'ai pas compris ce qu'il voulait dire. Continuez.
Très bien. C'est déjà en mode diapo.
Ok, allez-y.
Donc, si je peux terminer?
Oui, oui.
Ok, très bien. Donc, bon, justement, c'est la fin, c'est un petit peu les études prospectives, donc des travaux déjà réalisés. Donc, parmi elles, nous pouvons citer donc, les études de consommation finale dans l'horizon 2030 qui avaient été réalisées aussi avec l'assistance d'Enerdata. Il y a eu plusieurs études prévisionnelles donc, du ministère de l'Énergie et des Mines donc, sur la demande nationale en énergie finale à l'horizon 2030, donc dans le cadre avec la Banque mondiale. Il y a aussi les perspectives de la demande nationale en produits pétroliers, donc c'est une adaptation du modèle MAED, donc le Model for Analysis of Energy Demand, donc qui a été fait avec l'AEA. Et actuellement, donc, il y a le nouveau modèle de croissance économique, le NMCE, donc scénario d'évaluation du potentiel d'efficacité énergétique à l'horizon 2040. Bien entendu, nous avions travaillé donc, avec meetMED 1 et M. Bosbeuf, justement, dans la première phase du meetMED 1, sur les tendances des indicateurs d'efficacité énergétique et des énergies renouvelables, et notamment l'indicateur MEDEX que nous essayons justement de développer. Et j'espère que le meetMED 2 nous permettra justement d'approfondir cette thématique. Et je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Merci, Tar. Thank you, Tar, for that presentation. It's very interesting to see that there are a lot of experience both in APRU and in more generally in Algeria. And of course, your practice and your input will be very useful for the group, and both for indicators and planning, And please give my regards to Waida Klush, which I know from working on that data collection. So as you can see, and this is important for all the other partners, there are a lot of experience, good experience that can be shared among us. About Tunisia, unfortunately, they can join us today for the good reason is today they have an important meeting on planning and forecasting in Tunisia. So this is why they were not able to join us. So thank you for that presentation. And now I will leave the floor to Sam, which will deal with the last part of our meeting on the NIP activities. So Sam, I let you the floor.
Thank you again, Didier.
Could you stop sharing your presentation?
Yes, I tried.
Good luck.
I don't know why I can't.
Close your computer.
Yes, it's a solution.
Yes, we'll continue with the technical work group 3 about national energy efficiency action plans in the South Mediterranean countries. This activity aimed to exchange knowledge on national practices of national energy efficiency action plans, elaboration and results during the virtual or face-to-face meeting through 3 workshops. These are the countries that involved in and share this experience in survey. We have circulated the survey with these countries. Actually, I would like to say that the South Mediterranean countries have solid experience and history in the national energy efficiency action plans starting 2011 or 2010, according to the country. But there is an extensive progress in this regard. Here, the result of the questionnaire for Algeria and Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco. We are asked about NIAB status. As you see, there is progress in this regard in most of our countries. Some of them in first or second NIAB or third NIAB. The targeted countries, we are asked also about the targeted sectors or cross-sectoral sectorial energy efficiency measures, year-end monitoring and evaluation system. The topic about the NIAB entities also involved in the questionnaire. Who is responsible of how, and we can to communicate the NIAB, and who is responsible to achieve the target of national energy efficiency action plans, and also who is the stakeholders, who is fund the measures, and so on. After this question, we have the questionnaire mainly aimed to evaluate and assess the country's needs in order to plan for national energy efficiency action plans, 3 workshops in upcoming 3 years. The main difficulties and barriers in this regard about institutional framework, governance, and collaboration between stakeholders, availability of a tracking and monitoring system about energy efficiency measures and actions, funding energy efficiency measures, lack of financial facilities, especially low interest rate loans, data governance, and capacity building and awareness. This is the more common barriers that was received from the countries. Here, the milestone or the main topics that will the topics of next workshops in upcoming years. Actually, most of Arab countries of South Mediterranean countries response to the questionnaire or fulfill in all topics of the questionnaire. This question about needs and the suggested topic for NEAP are still needs to justify with the countries about prioritize their needs. But we can say our assessment of the survey here is the most important topics that was received by the countries about best practices of NEAP, regulatory and policy framework, governance, implementation, incentives. That should be a topic of the next workshop. The second topic of the workshop, monitoring and evaluation of national energy efficiency action plan measures and targets. The third topic is best practices of on financing of innovative energy efficiency instrument and de-risking energy efficiency instrument and so on. About this should be dedicated for energy efficiency, financing energy efficiency measures and action plans. So this is the result of the questionnaire or survey. The next step is to organize 3 workshops, 3 rounds of NEAP update. Within the workshop, we will collect the update from the countries and conduct the report. The outcomes, the outcomes of this collecting data from the country will be through one report each year. The dissemination of the result by end of the project 2024, we will conduct a cumulative report about NEAP in 2022 till 2024. NEAP experience. Let me introduce our partners in the project from Jordan and Palestine. They are thankfully accepted to highlight their experience and in Jordan and Palestine. I will start with Mr. Muhaddin Tawalbi. He is an electrical engineer, graduated from University of Technology. Currently, he is manager in the energy efficiency and solar thermal division at the NERC. His work focused on energy efficiency audits, energy management, solar thermal energy, power demand management, energy policies, and GHG mitigation project analysis. Also, Mr. Muhaddin has managed and supervised the MENA region initiative as a model of Nexus approach and renewable energy technologies. I would like to introduce Mr. Muhaddin. I am agreed to invite you for next presentation, please. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you, Hussam. Hussam has granted me only 10 minutes with 0 extension as time limitation for this presentation. So I will do my best to finish my words on time, hopefully. Yeah, next slide. Well, I can move it from here. This is a very quick representation about our institution. We are the Royal Scientific Society, RSS, which is the largest applied research institution in Jordan. We have more than 600 employees, including engineers and technicians, researchers. Yes. NERC, which is part of the Royal Scientific Society, we are responsible for promoting energy efficiency and renewable energy. We are working with different sectors, commercial and industrial sector, for improving the energy efficiency and also utilization of renewable energy system in the country. Yeah, this is a quick overview about the energy, some energy figures in 2018. By the way, this is the last figures we have for Jordan. After that, we have the pandemic, and till now we don't have the recent figures about energy balance in Jordan. Hopefully within coming few months. And this is the primary energy consumption in Jordan. We have more than 56 of our consumption is coming from oil, and around 35 from natural gas or for producing electricity mainly. This is the breakdown energy consumption by sector. The most consuming sector is the transportation. For electricity is the residential sector, which consumes in 2017 46, but now it's reached around 50%. This is the different and the breakdown of energy laws and bylaws for Jordan, for renewable energy, and the buildings, also building codes and the energy efficiency bylaws, renewable energy bylaws, and so on. So this is the list of some of these laws. We came to the recent energy strategy in Jordan, which is about from 2020 up to 2030, with a vision up to 2050. The most important here, we have a 9% reduction in energy consumption by 2030, and it's also linked with the, let's say, energy model, energy efficiency actions. So this is the strategy for 2020 and 2030. We have the, we can see that the energy efficiency is 9% and the renewable energy contribution around 14% by 2030. Regarding the NIAB, this is the first NIAB. I think we all know about the first NIAB. So we came out with the 6.6% of reducing energy consumption as a target. And this is the evaluation of the first NIAB. The evaluation indicates that around 40% of the whole energy efficiency measures has been realized and achieved in the first NIAB. While the second NIAB, the Jordan government has put a target of 17.5% to be reduced by 2020. So the government prepared the second NIAB accordingly. So we have these measures and the targets for each sector in the indicated in the second NIAB. So we can see that the percentage is also 17.5%. This is the target in the NIAB. Yeah, what is the impact of the NIAB? We can see, and we can see that by 2020 we can save around, let's say, around almost 2,000 gigawatt hour per year. With investment, it reached around 1 billion USD, 1 billion USD, and with annual cost savings around 230 million JD per year, based on 0.008 JD per kilowatt hour as a price or cost for electricity. And also we can have also the impact regarding the CO2 emission reduction, which is around 1,000 kiloton CO2. So this is a sample of the actions within the NIAB itself. Yeah, we have or most of these initiatives have been taken mostly by JREEF, Jordan Renewable Energy, and in Energy Efficiency Fund. So the replacement of lamps, installation of solar water heaters, or enforcement of building codes. So all these action. So what's next? Now Jordan is in the preparing phase of the third NIAB. The government or the Ministry of Energy has hired a company from Germany through the cooperation with GIZ to prepare the third NIAB. Hopefully by, let's say, October this year, the report or the final version of the NIAB will be ready. But the most important is to consider these points when preparing the NIAB. Yeah, more actions are needed to be highlighted in the NIAB. So they have to not focus only on the small, maybe, yeah, we have to look for, let's say, macro programs at the national levels. Let's say something, the programs like improving energy efficiency and compressed air system, or HVAC system, and overall the country. So there should be a selected programs for the country. And also the second thing is also important to consider the measurement and verification in order to evaluate and to measure the progress of implementation of the NIAB. Still, in Jordan, we lack this kind of, let's say, activities for evaluating the NIAB. So we need also these M&E or M&V for the NIAB. Of course, the financial support and also establishing a financing mechanism and de-risking energy efficiency action plans is so important and crucial, as well as the awareness and capacity building, specifically for the other sector or other government institution in Jordan. And also finally, digitalization of energy efficiency data collections. I mean, there should be a digitalized system, a program system that should be needed or should be available in order to provide the data about the implementation of activities continuously update. And there's should be a portal or some digitalized system that allows the any entity or government institution to have input about the progress of implementation of their activities directly to this portal or to this system. And this system should be hosted by also by MEMAR or JREEF or us, any entity that can support this. This is my words, and thank you so much. If you have any question, I'm available.
Thank you, Engineer Muhiddin, for extensive presentation, and we hope to Jordan to success NIAB, next NIAB, the 3 NIAB, and hopefully to be published in next October, inshallah. Also, let me go to Engineer Muhammad Mubayyad. He's Director of Energy Efficiency Department at the Palestine Energy and Natural Resources Authority. He holds a master's degree in clean energy and energy conservation engineering from Al-Najah National University in Palestine, and a bachelor degree in electrical engineering. Also, Engineer Muhammad has 15 years of experience in executive and management of energy efficiency and renewable energy project in Palestine. Engineer Muhammad, the floor is for you. Thank you.
Good morning again. Thank you, Hussam. And I will also seize this opportunity to express our thanks to Midiner and Rikri for organizing this event after a little bit long time due to the pandemic. We will talk a little bit, and I will stick with the 15 minutes or the 10 minutes, Hussam, to talk a little bit about the development of national energy efficiency in Palestine. You know, the energy efficiency is not an easy task for any countries. They need regulation, incentive, financing, training, labeling standards, demonstration projects, and awareness campaign. In our context in Palestine, there is another barrier, which is the occupation. So we touch in the base to overcome all those barriers, sure, except the occupation. So for our NIAB, it was endorsed by the cabinet in 2012 with a target of 384 gigawatt hour by 2020, which is corresponds to 5% saving of the energy consumption. It focuses on different sectors, industrial sector, building sector, water sector, and network losses. It divided in 3 stages. The first stage, 2012, 2014, then 2015, 17, and the last stage or the last phase is 2018, 2020. During that time, we spent a decade for digging the market, for assessing the potential of energy efficiency, and conducting more than 300 comprehensive energy audits covering all sectors in Palestine. This is in support with the donor community and especially the European Union and the Agence Française de Développement. The achievement so far for the NIAB of Palestine is we are very proud that we are one of the countries that start implemented and achieve more than 350 gigawatt hour so far achieved for the first NIAB. You can see that out of this figure that we exceeding the target in different phases, except the last phase. We are a little bit lagging of 34 gigawatt due to, as you know, our financial crisis and the deduction of our revenues by the occupation and all that stuff, that always affecting our development, not just in energy, but in different sectors. Another point that we have to highlight that we have in Palestine developed what's called the National Energy Efficiency Economic Model. This is a huge work that we bundled all the energy audit conducted in different sectors in one database, that you use the micro analysis, the micro basis results that coming up of the energy audit, and to generalize on macro basis. That an example that you can see for even subsectors, any modification like in lighting or in boiler, the effect on the national economy, and then it will be a good tool for the decision maker to know where to highlight and where to put their effort for energy efficiency. I'll just quote some slides for the result of that database. We will see that the potential in different sectors, and the 14% it's in service sector, that it's a last portion of our buy of energy balance in Palestine. Also, you can see that out of this model, what the output of this model that come up to help the decision maker for highlighting where to put their effort. We can take an example like the residential sector. You can see that more than 520 million kilowatt hour equivalent could be saved at a marginal cost of like $6 US. This is an attractive figure for energy saving. And then you can go beyond this and go deeply in technology per sector. We can like pick the industry sector and see where is the technology and the marginal cost and the saving for each technology per sector and per subsector. This is the outcome of the model that we are a yearly expected saving of 881 gigawatt hour. If we implement all the actions, we need an initial cost of capital investment of 347 million, and the corresponding CO2 emission yearly stick with that. Also, a good figure that each kilowatt hour saved as out of the model in average need an estimate investment of 5 cents US dollar. Also, this is an attractive for the development of energy efficiency in Palestine. For the legal framework, as you know, the context of Palestine, again, we import more than 92% of our electricity from Israel. 100% of our oil also comes from Israel. So they control the whole chain of energy since, or from the generation side, the transmission side, and partially the distribution side. So we do our best for the primary legislative framework, energy performance in building, efficiency of energy-related products, energy service, energy efficiency in industry, vehicle, and other policies. We will highlight in the last 3 slides to see our development in those 6 pillars or 7 pillars. For the primary legislation, we have our general electricity law, we have our electricity tariff law, and also we have our renewable energy and energy efficiency law in 2015. For energy performance in building, we have still, it's voluntary. We have our green building code and its guideline. We have our energy efficiency building code. And also recently we have initiating a good project in cooperation with the UNDP for the renovation of building in refugee camps. As you know, the refugee camps, they didn't pay the electricity prices as per the decision of ex-minister Yasser Arafat. So we try to focus our effort on those refugee camps to renovate their buildings. The project is started since 6 months, and they start implementation on one refugee camp as an example. For energy efficiency related to products, also this is good to announce for the first time that Palestine, they have the air conditioning labeling. It's endorsed by the Palestinian Statistical Institute. This is coming after we have the first factory manufacturing for the air conditioning in Palestine. So that's why they start with the labeling of air conditioning. Also, we have something similar to the MEBS. We call it the LIMI, the list of eligible measures and equipment. It's subsidized by the banks through the SUNREF project. Exemplary rules, we have developed 3 incentive mechanisms for the private sector, as covering the interest rate 0% for energy efficiency project in the private sector. We have the revolving fund, as you know, that we have a success story in Palestine for the revolving fund for public building. And we have recently the SUNREF program, which is also a success story in Palestine, that we invest and we receive a loan of more than 33 million euro, and it's spent in last 2 years. And then we have initiating the second SUNREF in Palestine by beginning of this year with 60 million euro as a loan for the banks to support the energy efficiency, renewable energy, and the climate change projects. For energy service companies, also after we endorsed the law for energy efficiency and renewable energy, we have submitted recently the bylaw for the first ISCO in Palestine. Is still within the cabinet for endorse it. For energy efficiency in industries, also we have a free technical assistant for the SMEs, and we help them to have their bankable projects. As you know that some of SMEs and MSMEs, they are not bankable to get loans, and they face problem in this. Also, we have an energy management system, ISO 5001 in all industries. We have also audits, free audits for MSMEs, and also we have a 30% premium grant for energy efficiency activities in a private sector out of SunRef program. For vehicle and electrical vehicle and hybrid vehicles, just we have the VAT exemption from Ministry of Finance for electric vehicles, and we have an incentives also out of SunRef program for electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. For the labeling and the last point for the labeling and the standards, you know that Palestine also, again, they didn't control their borders, they didn't control their ports. Thus, this is affect the development of labeling in Palestine, despite the fact that since 2000, we did develop our first Palestinian energy label. It was convened to the Legislative Council at that time. You know that and you may know that our market is burdened with the second-hand products coming from Israel. So the Cabinet and the Legislative Council see that the economy is now more maybe important than to start restrict some products coming to Palestine. This is in first point. The second point that Palestine still didn't have accreditation labs for testing those equipment, and they subjected to the testing laboratory of the Israeli side, which is also being a barrier for adopting labeling in Palestine. For our next NEAB, it's 2020-2030. We have also an ambitious target to have 5,000 gigawatt hour by 2030 as 500 per year. It's also divided in 3 phases. On short term for 24, medium term 27, and long term. And we start going beyond the first NEAB to endorse energy demand side management, smart homes, and the grid cities. Last slides, as I owed you an inspirational message that I used to use for every seminars I've been participated in, that every kilowatt hour that we saved, it's a kilowatt hour that not paid to the occupation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Muhammad. I'm asking the participant if there is any question about the presentation of Engineer Muhyiddin and Engineer Muhammad. Okay, there is no questions. I will go to back to TTR to continue with the session and finalize the session with the key messages. Please, TTR, go ahead.
Thank you, Osam. Thank you for the 2 speakers. It was really a complete and very well documented presentation. To summarize and to conclude about this technical session, I think it was clear that there is an interlink between the 4 sub-activities we have in this activity 2.4, between data collection, between planning, between NIPS. Is the key issue is data collection. And it was clearly stated by Palestine and Jordan, and we will see along this two years program now, how we can ensure some capacity building about surveys, how to improve this data collection. I just mentioned that all the work we are proposed here, especially the methodology on indicators, is linked to the ISO standard on energy saving calculation that we developed, both Bruno and myself. So we are online with the, let's say, international know-how on energy efficiency indicators. So I see a good mood from the participant to participate further during these 2 years. And I really appreciate that we have many participants will be active in our subgroup. I would like to thank all the 9 speakers. So we have a very diverse session with different speakers from 6 countries. And I think we have a very good presentation, good technical presentation. And all this material will be available in the meetMED platform. There are some presentations which were more documented than what has been presented due to the lack of time. So with that, I will conclude that session, and I will let Alexandro to manage the last session on key messages. I don't know how you see that with due to the time limit. Please, Alessandro.
Yes, thank you, Didier. And I would ask to the speakers and to you first, Didier, if you have any inputs about key messages to be delivered, and what can be taken away for next steps of our activities, and also in the view of COP27 to be taken just at the end of this year, just in Egypt. Do you want to start, Didier?
Yes, could you share my presentation? I sent you already, or I don't know how. Okay, I will do it.
If you want to share your screen, yeah.
I don't know, it's work?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, very good. I cannot see my presentation. Just a minute.
But we see your presentation. Maybe you can go to the third or last slide about the. Now yes. We see the first slide.
Just a minute. I try to find my presentation. Okay. If you go, so it's a short presentation about what we have done, what we will do. I will go to the key message, the last slide. It's what I suggest as a key message. First, we meetMED, or the group, we recognize the multi-benefit of having or developing a monitoring energy efficiency system beyond the evaluation of energy efficiency policy impact. It's what I said at the beginning of that session, that to develop an energy efficiency monitoring, it's good for tracking targets, good for policy impact, it's good for as a basis of modeling. So it has a lot of advantage, and we have to mention that we share that point of view. There are a lot of benefits to develop and implement such type of monitoring system. Secondly, to make this system more, let's say, sustainable, we can suggest that this monitoring system should be included in the energy efficiency law. We have some example, for example, in many countries. I give you the example of Mexico, where in the energy efficiency law, they are obliged to develop energy efficiency indicators, and also to make benchmarking of indicators. There are some countries in the region, if I remember well, that like Algeria, which include also in their energy efficiency law the issue of developing monitoring system. And in the case of Mexico and I think Algeria, this monitoring system will be managed by the Energy Efficiency Agency. Third ideas is that if we really want to properly design or properly monitor energy efficiency, we should work at detail level with only energy intensities. This is a common classic indicators. We cannot manage the result of energy efficiency policy. Why? Because the energy efficiency policy are designed at the level of end use, for example, banishment of incandescent lamp or building codes for space heating or standard for air conditioning, or by technologies, label for cars, etc. So because the policy are dedicated to specific part of the energy demand, monitor properly them, we have to have detailed information, for example, on cars, on trucks, on lighting, on cooking, etc. So we need to have a detailed system to monitor efficiency. To do that, we need, of course, adequate data collection, and we have seen from the main speakers that there are a lack of what we call end-use data. It's not only in SMEC countries, it's in many countries, and for France, we implement surveys every year with new topic. When we have a new device or new policy, we have to collect data. So this is a regular issue of developing adequate end-use survey on a, insist on that regular basis. To have a survey every 10 years, it's not really helpful for monitoring energy efficiency. Fifth point, and I think it was mentioned by our Jordania, I think our colleague from Palestine, is participant considers that it's interesting or important to have exchange on information on a cross-country comparison basis, exchange energy performance in different end use. And clearly, one of our message that meetMED encourage the work on providing a benchmark on energy efficiency performance. Finally, we can say that we have demonstrated as a SMEC, or we will demonstrate the feasibility, the usefulness of such energy efficiency system, so it's workable. And it's something that we can see at the end, we can discuss together. We can enlarge this energy efficiency indicator database to CO2 indicators and even renewable indicators and access to energy. In other words, to monitor not only energy efficiency, but to monitor the overall OSD7 objective, which and the advantage is we can see the contribution, the important contribution of energy efficiency around all the other objectives of OSD7. I know this bullet is more questionable since the energy efficiency agency are not always working on all that sector, but as a platform, overall platform, I think it's interesting to include this some of this issue in the database. It's what we are doing in 25 countries in Latin America with the same template. So it's what I suggest. It has not been really, it's not for the moment a really collaborative process with my colleagues. It was what I get from the different presentation exchange. So it's not at the status of being accepted with our partners. That's all from my side.
Yes, thank you, Didier. And I would like to highlight the last point about the link with the United Nations agenda and the role of monitoring to track the progress towards the global target about the Sustainable Development Goal number 7 about energy. Indeed, as said at the beginning, the monitoring should be just the final step of a virtuous process where at last we have tools, instruments to assess from a quantitative point of view the progress and which part of the target we meet. And indeed, as I added also from the other session, this is just a little bit of spoiler of the session of this afternoon, but also other speakers and the messages from the other sessions claims for this point about global impact of the targets. And indeed, okay, we have to set national targets, but these targets are within a global view, in the view of energy efficiency first principle at global level. Don't know if you want, Osama or our friends, Agatha, want to build on or want to add other messages about this point. Don't know.
Thank you, Sandro, and thank you, Didier. Actually, this we did this exercise with the Didier last period, and there is no
last night.
more, I cannot say it last night because it's secret, maybe. Also, I emphasize on the link between the importance of monitoring system to be aligned with the SDGs 7 and other SDG 7 actually is related to SDG related to the water and other SDGs, because the energy efficiency is part of in building is part of efficient energy and efficient water and other and maybe also reflect to the decrease the poverty. So it's perfect to go to link between our event and other SDGs goals. So this is my side. I don't know if our colleague can share some thoughts or messages.
I would like to talk about the energy efficiency. In most cases, energy efficiency is still considered as a second priority in overall countries. The focus is on the renewable energy application and utilization, and how to increase the penetration rate of renewable energy in the energy mix. But the energy efficiency should be highlighted. So in this case, I recommend to have a specific target in the COP or the globally about energy efficiency, the specific target for energy efficiency and in the overall the global. This will put more focus on the importance of the improving energy efficiency in the different sectors, as well as also how to find the let's say appropriate or proper financing scheme for energy efficiency applications and measures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please.
Yes, again, as my colleague Mahi said, as we look ahead for the COP27, I guess that we must keep working on both the pressure on the government to continuously keep making some ambitious, more and more commitment toward the climate and in particular the energy efficiency. We urge them to have more focus on energy efficiency on the high list actions and not just the low-hanging fruit. I guess this is the message.
Thank you very much. Don't know, Agatha or our other colleagues online, if you want to add, or Didier also?
Just one word. The key message I mentioned here are key message related to the issue of monitoring. The two issues that was raised by our colleagues are more general. So the key message are focused here only on the monitoring. Of course, as the first key message, we have to highlight the energy efficiency first principle and the most important contribution of energy efficiency for combat. This is the most economical and feasible option for reaching climate change. So, but this is message to in general, not linked to monitoring. So what I try to do is key message only on monitoring.
Thank you. Don't know if some other remarks from the online attendees, or if not, I would like to thank all the speakers, both the moderators, and all the attendants, both here in presence and online, for this very interesting session. Thanks a lot to all. Thank you very much.
Alessandro?
Yeah?
You hear me? Do you need, I have to do something for this afternoon, or you do yourself?
Here we have also some, so if you want to share,
no, because for me, I have another meeting, so if you can do it, it will be perfect.
Okay. There is here Osam, and then already we had made a spoiler of your presentation, so you're already done.
Okay. Thank you, Alessandro. Have a good time. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Thanks.
And thank you, Osam.
Thank you very much, the chair, for moderation, and thank all the participants online and on site for his attention and valuable contribution. Thank you very much.